segment that I'm going to call the buy bubble. And I started thinking during the week, the class 3 groups, there's going to be 5 teams that basically have a bye in the first round of the playoffs. The other 6 teams will narrow it down to 3, and then it'll be basically quarterfinals from that going forward. Now, the rankings 1 to 11 of these teams is going to be based on the traditional scoring systems of you get so many points for a win, you get a point for a loss if you play down a class, all this other stuff, or up a class. And so we're not going to get into that in this buy bubble conversation. What this buy bubble conversation is going to be is who we think, based on skill alone, belongs in that bubble and is going to be in that bubble. And so I'm going to start it off talking with what I think are the 3 gimmies, and that's Middletown, Smyrna, and St. George's. And I base that just basically on who they've beaten. Middletown has beaten Smyrna. They've beaten Appo. They've beaten William Penn here in the state of Delaware. Smyrna has beaten CR. They've beaten Sussex Central. They've beaten St. George's. St. George's has beaten CR. They've beaten Sally's. They've beaten Appo. They've beaten Hodson. And so I look at, for each of these teams, they each have what I call a very quality win. They've proven they look like they belong in the buy bubble, in my opinion. So those are my 3 gimmies that are in the buy bubble. And then you drop down to the people that are never going to get into the bubble. And that's the Hodson, CR, and Cape Henlope. And again, no disrespect to them. It's an honest conversation, and nobody's going to be surprised by that statement. And then there's the middle of the road teams. Sally's right now, I have more in the bubble than out because of their win over Sussex Central. I thought that was a quality win. Certainly at the time, it was a very quality win. They did lose to St. George's. The Middletown game, which didn't happen, was going to tell me a lot more about Sal's and whether they should be in the bubble or out of the bubble coming out of this week. And so unfortunately that game didn't happen because of the car accident, which fortunately nobody passed away from that. There were a lot of rumors about that, and that did not happen. But so right now, Sal's I have in the bubble, but if they get trounced by Middletown, which isn't going to happen either, we'll talk more about that. If they had been trounced, they probably would have been out of the bubble. But right now they are in the bubble basically because they got the week off, and so they didn't have a chance to get out of the bubble. Other than that, I have Dover, Sussex Central, Appo, and William Penn outside the bubble, but one of those teams has to get inside the bubble. And if the playoffs were to start today, I would put either Dover or Appo into that bubble based on Dover has quality wins against St. George's. And again, a quality win, you call it that or not, against Sussex Central. Appo's one quality win is against Dover. And so if you go head to head, you'd have to put Appo in. The thing is that Appo only has that one quality win. I don't consider William Penn a quality win only because they're not in the bubble. I consider the quality wins the people that are in the bubble. And that's where Dover separates itself, in my opinion, to get in the bubble. So it would be Dover next in the bubble, and then it would be Appo, Sussex Central, and William Penn in that middle tier. And again, this is rankings just on our opinions. It has nothing to do with points. And so again, Middletown, Smyrna, St. George's, and Sal's are in the bubble for sure. If the playoffs started next week, Dover would be my team that would be in that bubble. Marty, your thoughts?
I went at this a little bit differently, and I was really looking forward to this. I love this buy bubble segment. I think this is kind of cool. I broke the teams in 3A into 3 tiers, and I said 2 of them are automatically in right now. They're first round buys, and that's Middletown and Smyrna. They've just proven they're head and shoulders above the rest of the class at this point. Tier 3, I put Hodgson, Cape, CR, and William Penn. I just don't see Penn having enough to get to that first round bye. They're just their defense, they give up way too many points. And then we get to tier 2, and this is where the bubble came in for me. I have 5 teams fighting for the last 3 playoff buys, and that's Salesianum, St. George's, Appo, Dover, and Sussex Central. And then I extrapolated a little bit, whereas you look at who they beat and lost, I went and looked who they had remaining on their schedules. And I played it out a bit, and I have St. George's, Dover, and Sal's claiming those last 3 spots. And the reason why is because the wins and losses that are potential on those schedules. For Salesianum, again, they're only going to play 9 games because of the Middletown cancellation. They have William Penn, Smyrna, Dover, and Appo. I think they're going to go 2-2 in those games. I think they're going to lose to Smyrna. I think they're going to lose to Dover. They'll beat William Penn and Appo. I think they finish 6-3. To me, Appo and Sussex Central fall out. They're both 3-3, and if you look at their remaining schedules, Appo still has Smyrna and Sal's left. They're not going to win either of those games. Sussex Central has St. George's and Middletown left. They're not going to win either of those games. So I have both of those teams falling down to 5-5, which is going to move them out of the bye bubble. So, and St. George's is at the top of this list, by the way. It's 7-3. St. George's and Dover. Dover still has a tough schedule remaining. They still have Smyrna and Sal's. I think they're going to beat Salesiana. I just think that Dover team, Chip Knapp, is going to have that team fired up to go in there. They're going to finish 7-3 in my book. St. George's is going to Middletown. That is going to be a tough one. I don't see St. George's pulling that one out. But then they have Sussex Central, Cape, and William Penn. And I see them running the last 3 games of the table to get to 7-3. So I have Middletown, Smyrna, St. George's, Dover, and Sal's as the bye teams. Appo and Sussex Central falling just a bit short. But as of right now, the Sal's, St. George, Appo, Dover, and Sussex Central are the teams I have in that bubble fighting for the final 3 spots.
So we both have the same teams, just for different reasons. Mine
exactly
based on what they've done. You're based on what they're going to have to do in the future. So it'll be interesting to follow that in. That's our bye bubble segment. Look forward to that each week as we move forward and get closer to the Class 3 playoffs, where, once again, if you're not familiar, every single team of the 11 gets in. So there is a good possibility there will be a winless team in Class 3, and that's going to be a first in Delaware playoff history, that's for sure.